Tonight, we have a singer and songwriter who's been playing in Alaska and actually all over the world for more than 2 decades. Good evening and welcome to 360 North's Arts at 360. I'm your host, Katie Bosler. Tonight's program is Alaska Originals, an ongoing series of concerts that feature Alaskan performers playing their original music. Our performer this evening is singer-songwriter Kray Van Kirk, an artist with original music and an old world sound. We'll hear his music and his stories right here on Arts at 360's Alaska Originals. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Kray Van Kirk.
Well, I am a wandering traveler, and my journeys they are long, and I read the stories of this life in music and in song. And sometimes out upon the road and sometimes in the sky, I look before what I will find to see if I can try to find the footsteps of the one who's maybe gone before, or maybe follows now behind in wisdom and in lore. And someday maybe we will meet upon a sunny day, strangers with familiar brands walking in the way. Hey lady, won't you walk with me down along the river to a cold dark sea? Between the cradle and my grave are years that won't be saved. So lady, won't you walk with me? Now some will dance on wings of gold and others take a fall. Some get by on feet of clay, some don't dance at all. The turning of the spinning ones in the circle of the moon all wind the seasons round again and play a piper's tune. And upwards from the sea they come, answering the call, life upon its final run, beginning of us all. Hey lady, won't you walk with me down along the river to a cold dark sea? Between the cradle and my grave are years that won't be saved. So lady, won't you walk with me? Well, I am a wandering traveler, my journeys they are long, and I read the stories of this life in music and in song. And here I've come to sing for you of what has gone before, or maybe follows now behind in wisdom and in lore. So now for the time we have, think upon the day when as strangers with familiar brands we'll meet along the way. Hey lady, won't you walk with me down along the river to a cold dark sea? Between the cradle and my grave are years that won't be saved. So lady, won't you walk with me? Well, good evening, and thank you for coming out on such a nice night. It's very, very nice and warm out there, and and you guys are nice to come and take an hour and come hang out with us at Alaska 360. He caught a train out of La Mancha, and it carried him down to the sea. Give me a one-way ticket to where you think I'd rather be. I don't know where the sun rises now, and I don't know where she will be. He caught a train from a Spanish sunrise, headed into an Irish sea. And out upon a tossing ocean, he was sick with the movement of the waves. In the desk he found a faded journal, and he settled down to reading every page. The sun had gone down, and his lamps had all burned low, when the last entry finally set him free. He caught a train from a Spanish sunrise, headed into an Irish sea. There came the sound of summer running as he stood beside the railing in the dawn, and a half-remembered memory inside him, awakened from a slumber decades long, and casting aside the mirrored face he wore, against his tale a gentle mutiny. He caught a train from a Spanish sunrise, headed into an Irish sea. Time flies like an arrow, straight toward the setting sun, with nothing left behind. A season fine for Prometheus set free, and a medicine for melancholy found upon the sea. He caught a train out of La Mancha, and it carried him down to the sea. Oh, now give me a one-way ticket to where you think I'd rather be. I don't know where the sun rises now, and I don't know where she will be. He caught a train from a Spanish sunrise, headed into an Irish sea. A couple years ago, we had some shows overseas, over in Ireland and Britain and Scotland, and the night before we flew to London, I had a show in New York. So we flew down to Seattle, and then flew from Seattle over to New Jersey. And we landed in Newark, New Jersey at about midnight, and I had picked a hotel. It was just, right across the street from the airport, so we could go and get to bed at about midnight, and then drive up the next day to upstate New York, play the show, come back, and then take the red-eye to London. So we got out of the airport, and we had our luggage, had the guitars and the backpack, and we got the rental car, and we pulled out a little cul-de-sac on the
airport, and we can see the sign to the hotel just right across the way there. And this is about 11:30. And at 3:30 in the morning, we could still see the sign right over and we got so lost, and we ended up on the New Jersey Turnpike 3 times. And the third time, it's midnight, there's nobody there. There are only 2 ladies in the toll booth things. And the third time we went through, the lady stuck her head out of the toll booth and she said, "Honey, I will smack you if I see you again." And so she actually made us turn around, when it's totally illegal, but there was nobody else around. So we turned around actually and kind of still couldn't find the hotel, but we were very sure not to go back through the turnpike again. And her name was Edna. And I promised Edna I would write a song for her, so I have yet to send it to the New Jersey Turnpike Transportation Authority, because I don't know if she's supposed to threaten people who go through her toll booth, but
Well, the night was warm and the sky was clear as we sank down through the air. But soon we were lost and wandering through streets that did not care. The onboard navigation, I swear, had gone insane, sending us in circles through streets that had no name. Then suddenly we saw them with New York on our right. Light lay all about them, it was pushing back the lonely night. We came into their presence and tried to find our way. Turned off the navigator to hear what they would say. And they were the toll booth ladies, those goddesses of the night. Toll booth ladies, when you're going wrong, they'll set you right. And it was in the asphalt jungle I was lost as I could be. Toll booth ladies, rescue me. Well, the second time we saw them, they laughed and said, "Not quite. Oh, it's nice to see you here again, but you miss some lefts, you miss some rights. Now listen to my preaching, boy, and do not deviate. And you will reach your destination before it gets too late." They were the toll booth ladies, oh, those goddesses of the night. Toll booth ladies, when you're going wrong, they'll set you right. And it was in the asphalt jungle, Lord, I was lost as I could be. Toll booth ladies, rescue me. Oh, the third time that we saw them, they made us turn around. Edna said, "I will smack you if you stay lost and don't get found." Now you're headed for Manhattan, so she lifted up her hand and showed to me the road that headed into the promised land. I said, "I can't get there from here. I can't get there from here. I can't get there from here." Well, I looked out and I saw their light from the window by my bed. It wasn't very far away, I could have walked instead. But I left my grateful fingerprints pasted to the glass and fell asleep while I was clutching a Jersey toll booth pass. They were the toll booth ladies, those goddesses of the night. Toll booth ladies, when you're going wrong, well, they'll set you right. And in the asphalt jungle, Lord, lost as I could be. Toll booth ladies, rescue me.
And actually, we did have a lot of fun when we were in Ireland and Scotland and everything. I took my daughter Olivia with me. Except that Olivia was 15 and looked like she was 20. And we'd be in these cities like Belfast or Dublin or wherever, and this was her first time overseas, so she'd be off running down the street. It's August, it's warm, it's beautiful, and I've got the guitars and the backpack and everything. I'm puffing like 5 minutes behind her. Of course, in the evening, all the young gentlemen are out, hanging out. And so Olivia would go running by, and they'd all be like, "Hey, what are you going so fast? Why don't you come over here and talk to us?" And Olivia would be like, "Okay." So she'd go over there, and it'd be like 5 minutes later, I'd come up huffing and puffing and say, "Excuse me, gentlemen, that's my kid, and she's 15. Oh, and keeping a good eye on your yard, Dad. Oh, that's very wise, very wise." Shut up. There was a captain and there was a lady. There was a ship of wood and of steel, and there were the years that they sailed her together. Her at the lookout and him at the wheel. For gold and a fine house to Kate they meant nothing, and he was a fisherman who couldn't stay still. So they came together and they called to the shipwrights to build them a vessel to go where they will. Sail away from the capes to the north, where the cargo and crew so fine. This was the dream of their time. Oh, sing me boys, we'll weigh in the anchor, haul out the sails. Sing me boys, oh sing, and we'll sail on past daybreak in a good southern gale. One morning the sun rose pale yellow, and the sky was a bleeding blood red. All hands on deck now, there's a vast wind a-brewin', and it'll bring down the heavens and wake up the dead. The storm came and struck like a hammer, and with it came fever that sent Kate below. And just like the fires that burned in the rigging, they burn in the lady who lay down below. By midnight the sea, it had raged and gone silent. By sunrise her shroud had been sewn, and at sunset the sea took her home. Oh, sing me boys, we'll weigh in the anchor and haul out the sails. Sing me boys, oh sing, and we'll sail on past daybreak in a good southern gale. And so sailed the captain alone from the lady, and the crew mourned her loss as one of their own, till one night a storm caught them hard upon harbor and threatened to dash them apart on the stone. In the darkness the crew could see nothing, and the captain was helpless, he steered all alone. Then sudden to starboard there stood a figure, guiding the ship into harbor and home. And so came the lady back to the captain to chart him a course that was true, and the great ship came safely on through. Oh, sing me boys, we'll weigh in the anchor and haul out the sails. Sing me boys, oh sing, and we'll sail on past daybreak in a good southern gale. And in the years after, when the weather was fine, the captain dreamed softly, alone in his years. But when the sky darkened and the sea rose up swiftly, between him and danger the lady appeared. And then one October, at the first touch of winter, the captain made harbor, put the crew all ashore. The ship needs a rest, boys, come back in the springtime, and together we'll sail the big waters once more. Alone then he sailed from the harbor, out past the marker and into the wind, and into the arms of the lady who beckoned. It was there on the rocks that he found her again. So sing me boys, we'll weigh in the anchor, all the sails up above. Sing me boys, oh sing, and we'll sing of the captain and the one that he loved. Oh, sing me boys, we'll weigh in the anchor and haul out the sails.
Sing, me boys, oh sing, and we'll sail on past daybreak in a good southern gale. Sail on past daybreak in a good southern gale. Sail on past daybreak.
I think that's actually my oldest song, and for a long time I stopped singing it, and then people started to say, well, don't stop singing it, you should sing it again, and which was nice, but it was had to relearn it. Nancy Griffith said, if a song doesn't come in like 20 minutes, it's not going to happen, and this one took me about 3 years, so I beg to differ. Everything I do is slow. It takes me a long time to get there. This is the one song that I would really, really love to do a music video to. I know that's very 21st, it's very MTV, but this one I would really like to do it, except you'd have to do it in Paris. So.
Alone on the dance floor at midnight, waiting for you to appear. Red velvet dress and black satin lace dusted my memories dear. But you're waiting alone on a floor like my own for a man with a face that's not mine. So I'll dance alone with a ghost I once knew, once upon a time. This is my lost lover's waltz, dancing like lovers do. This is my lost lover's lost waltz that I never danced with you. And down by the water where the minstrels all play and the painters they wait for the light, the dancers they sit with their feet in their hands and they quietly rest from the night. And the playwrights they sit with their quills in their hands and they drink their black coffee like wine. But no words they write can turn back the pages when you were the measure of time. This is my lost lover's waltz, dancing like lovers do. This is my lost lover's lost waltz that I never danced with you. They say Paris is magic. They say Paris is the city of love. And I love all my memories of Baudelaire nights and mornings with you dressed in sunlight. Ooh-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee, la-da-da-da-da-da-da. Ooh-doo-doo-doo-doo-dee-dee-dee-dee, la-da-da-da-da-da-da. Alone on the dance floor at midnight, candles beginning to fade. The mirrors are empty, they won't show my face. Shadows in silent parade. And locking the doors as I make my way home through the empty streets crowded too soon. Following footsteps that lead ever onwards, stepping in time with the moon. This is my lost lover's waltz, dancing like lovers do. This is my lost lover's lost waltz that I never danced with you.
Ooh, good heavens, I'm squeaking. The Tristan and Isolde story is one that a lot of us know from the King Arthur cycle of stories, but some historians put it way farther back, all the way back into Persia, and then it migrated up the coast with the Celtic migrations and finally setting in Ireland and England. And Tristan was a harper and a bard and a soldier, and his uncle was the king, King Mark, in Cornwall in southwestern England. And he was sent across the sea to Ireland to bring back a young bride for King Mark, Isolde, and they were going to get married as part of a peace treaty, and there would be peace between their kingdoms. And so King Mark sends Tristan across the sea to get Isolde, and he goes over to Ireland, and he meets her and instantly falls madly in love with her, and they have a couple days on the boat going back to England before they land, and she meets King Mark, and everything goes downhill from there. And there are a lot of different endings to this story depending on who you read. Wagner had a whole big opera, but I'm not going to sing opera. But in this story, we find Tristan at the end of his life. He's been exiled from the kingdom for his affair with Isolde the queen, and he lives by the ocean where he can hear the waves crash on the rocks over and over. And he can't remember anything. He can't remember his battles. He can't remember the 1,000 lines and songs he had to know as a bard. He can only remember one thing, and that's the motion of a ship rolling when it hits a wave and hangs for a second before falling into the next trough. I remember the mist on the water, 3 days to Ireland's shore, 3 days to tarry and 3 to return, 9 days that turned into more. They say the Irish have magic, stronger than blood or than steel, and from the moment I saw you, a spell on my heart I am praying will never be healed. But the fates were against us, and your love was not mine, and across the wide water came the calling of duty that left our desire behind. Let the land fade away, let the sea gently rock us to sleep in the dawn. I forsake the dry land, 3 days to England and a lifetime before they were gone. Blood is thicker than water, but not as thick as the wine that ran from my cup on the night that you married, pressed from 1,000 red vines. And I measured my days by your kisses, and the hours when caution had flown, and all of my songs, though I sang for the hall, were intended for your ears alone. And riding to battle was easy, even if death the field bring. Then the nights drunk and raging, while you lay with your husband, the man who was also my king. Let the land fade away, let the sea gently rock us to sleep in the dawn. I forsake the dry land, 3 days to England and a lifetime before they were gone. Too tired to argue, too tired to love in the end. It all came to this, a whispered goodbye and a vow upon steel not to see you again. Now all of my
my days have receded. All of my songs have gone dry, and all that remains as the world turns to gray is the memory of a ship rolling. Ever turn to the dawn? Let the land fade away. Let the sea gently rock us to sleep in the dawn. I forsake the dry land. Oh, 3 days to England and a lifetime before. Oh, 3 days to England, a lifetime before. It was 3 days to England, a lifetime before they were gone.
Be Still My Irish Heart. Oh my gosh. So you have a sound of a traditional balladeer of the British Isles, and yet these are original tunes.
Yeah. Okay.
So are you reincarnated? How did this happen? Where did this come from?
I wish I could come up with a funny line to that. In a past life, I was a pig herder. No, yeah. I grew up. When I grew up, we didn't have a television. We were vegetarian. We lived in Northern California.
It's the vegetarian.
It's the vegetarian part.
Course.
Absolutely. No, we're a bunch of old back to the landers up on the California-Oregon border, and so we didn't have a TV or anything like that. So I spent all my time reading, and I ended up reading, The Lord of the Rings and all the old revisions of the Arthur cycles and Ray Bradbury and all these kinds of things. And so I think those got me started down that path, writing this kind of stuff. And we didn't listen to that kind of music initially. We were listening to like Pete Seeger and Woody Guthrie and that kind of stuff. But I ended up, when I was in high school, I had the Chieftains and the Steel Eye Span and Fairport Convention and all the British folk rock bands that came out of the late 60s and 70s, and Andy Stewart and Silly Wizard and those guys.
So that combination just sort of infused your art.
So. In addition to driving my parents crazy, I had some weird records.
And how about your guitar playing? You're quite proficient, both the 6 and the 12 string.
I just did a show last year with a guy named Claude Bourbon down in Central California, and I couldn't even hold a candle to him. So I'm an okay player, but I'm not what you'd call a virtuoso. And I ended up listening to Gordon Lightfoot and Pete Seeger and James Taylor, and so it's really coming out of that focus on the guitar.
And as far as your writing, I usually don't hear Ray Bradbury from musicians. Tell us a little bit about that.
I love Ray Bradbury. He is absolutely one of the most brilliant writers of the 20th century. I even have an autographed painting of him. The way he writes his phrases, his English, his language is amazing, and I have so much of his work in my stuff. The Captain and the Lady ultimately came out of a song called The Sailor Home from the Sea, and he had a 1959 collection of short stories called A Medicine for Melancholy. The Sound of Summer Running was a short story about a boy who buys a new pair of tennis shoes. And all of those things, they just get their way in there. I have a new tune called The Machineries of Joy, which is a title of one of his short stories. He just is unique, and I've never found anybody like him, and I'm waiting for him to rise from the grave and say, dude, that's my stuff. You can't do that.
Well, thank you. That is edifying for this perennial English major.
Are you a perennial English major?
Yes. Oh, yes. So how long have you been in Alaska now?
About 20 years.
20 years. So you grew up Northern California, Oregon border.
Yeah.
What brought you to Alaska?
The glacier. No. That's actually an old BC cartoon. No, actually I was playing music. I was just branching out and beginning to do sit-down concerts for the first time, as opposed to playing bars and lounges and things like that. And I came up to Alaska in November on the ferry and played in Petersburg and Ketchikan and Wrangell, and ended up in Sitka. And I did a show for Ken Fate and the Sitka Folklore Society and
Okay.
2000, I think. No, 1991. I'm missing 10 years. And I really liked it, and I ended up staying. And then I guess things just kind of went on from there.
So you weren't on a ship up the Inside Passage?
Other than the ferry, no. That was
a
about
sailing
it.
ship.
No, I was not.
Imagine.
Well, that'd be kind of fun.
Now you give away your music.
I do.
And you've stopped selling CDs.
I stopped making CDs a while back. I had a period where I didn't play very much. I found out I just woke up one morning and was a single parent, and so I couldn't tour full time. I couldn't do anything except be a dad, which is fine. But when I started playing again, I thought, well, do I want to make CDs again? And I thought, I don't want to do that because there's just more stuff in the landfills. It's more plastic, it's more garbage, it's just more stuff. We have enough stuff. What we don't have is community. What we don't have is evaluation of things that are not attached to money. And so I decided I'm not going to make CDs anymore, and I'm not going to charge for downloads over the net. I'm going to, we have this attitude today that value is attached to money. If we can't cut a tree down and sell it, well, it's not worth anything. If we can't control information, well, then it's not worth anything. And I think that that's nonsense. And the very thing that we value the most is love. And if we pay for it, there's another word for that, if we pay for it. And so I am very disappointed and upset by this emphasis on money and profit. And while I would love to make a living doing this, Olivia's getting old enough to where she's going to strike out on her own soon. That's my one little tiny move on the chessboard to say, I think that's a mistake. And what we need is more human community. We need more kids crying at concerts. We need more puppy dogs curled under the chair. We need more of that. Yes. And before we ever invented recorded music or had electricity or anything, that's what we did. We got together on winter nights and we sang a lot of songs, and that was it. There was nothing else. There wasn't, oh, we'll do this someday. Oh, we'll charge money for that. No, you just got together and that's what you did.
Well, we're enjoying your music so much here at Arts at 360. Where can people, viewers and listeners, find your music on the web?
Just on my website. It's very imaginative. The website is krayvankirk.com. It's about as imaginative as the Dave Matthews Band. That's not much. And I have a bunch of songs that I haven't recorded yet that are headed for the website. 3 Days to England is one of them. And so hopefully those will be all recorded and done with a new revised website in over the summer, probably.
Well, we'll look forward to that. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to Kray Van Kirk.
We'll stay over across the sea for another few minutes. We'll stay in Wales.
Full moon barely had arose, it looked down through the trees. The wind on mouse feet crept along among the fallen leaves. And William rode his lonely way beside a murmuring sea. Upon the twilight shore of Wales, it was All Hallows Eve. And thought he of his own sweetheart, he did not hear the horn that sounded faintly far behind, from beyond the bourne. But soon he heard the pounding hooves that shook the very ground, and with a mighty rushing wind the riders ringed him round. Their eyes shone in the bladed night. They smelled of earth and air. With voices like a howling wind, their faces cruel and fair. And for to ride on All Hallows Eve, demanded they their toll, and gave him then a race to win for his life and soul. All right, young William, ride tonight. Elfland's on your trail, to take your soul if you should lose upon the shores of Wales. Then came to him a midnight horse, whose rider wore a crown, and gazing at him with a smile, bade him to step down. A steed as red as blood or gold was given to his rein, a fairy mount to match my own, evens out the game. Know you, sir, the gallows oak that overlooks the sea? A league or more straight on from here, that our goal shall be. And if you win home, you shall go free from curse or pain. Ah, but if I catch you, mine you'll be, and come not home again. Then William bravely up and cried, these terms be far from fair. I stand to lose my own dear soul, and you not one small hair. A blacksmith now by trade I am, your risk must match my own. I'll forge your soul into my swords, and steel shall be your home. All right, young William, ride tonight. Elfland's on your trail, to take your soul if you should lose upon the shores of Wales. So be it, cried the Midnight King, to yours I pledge my soul. They brought their horses side by side, and faced them towards the goal. And faster than the wind they flew, William rode the storm, and behind them came the elven host, winding on their horns. Wind danced softly on the sand, it whispered through the leaves. The moon sat veiled in tangled cloud, and sank down through the trees. And William's horse walked slow and cold, beside a murmuring sea, upon an empty shore of Wales. It was All Hallows Eve. Baby's gone sick and he won't stop crying. Mama trying to feed him, slowly dying. Smoke from the tires burning, rising high. Names in the river flowing past, tears in a bucket rising fast. Faces washed away by a camera's eye. Oh my, hey, give to me your sorrow, let me give to you my freedom. And if you are sick and weary, let me carry you on my back. Look into tomorrow, it is filled with all our children. So let us find the lost ones, and together we will carry them home. Coins on the eyes for them that's gone. Rain wash away all the blood that's drawn. Grass grow long on the stones in the greening fields. One more drink and the pain is gone. One more prayer, then a fiery dawn. One more mother left to wonder why, oh why. Hey, give to me your sorrow, let me give to you my freedom. And if you are sick and weary, let me carry you on my back. Look into tomorrow, it is filled with all our children. So let us find the lost ones, and together we will carry them home. Lines in the sand from years gone by, old men can't remember why. Tin roof shacks as far as the eye can see. Hide tomorrow by the smoke that's rising. Someone's burning, no denying. One more day like the only days we've ever known. I heard the stones cry out. I heard the stones cry out in the night. I heard the stones cry out. And they said, give to me your sorrow, let me give to you my freedom. And if you are sick and weary, let me carry you on my back. Look into tomorrow, it is filled with all our children. So let us find the lost ones, and together we will carry them home. Carry them home. Carry them home. We'll finish up with one more. Again, thank you so much for coming out tonight on such a nice night. And we'll see if I can get this thing tuned. Pete Seeger said you take the 12-string guitar, you find the one string that's out of tune, and you tune the other 11 to it. Struck silent beside her, and with 1,000 thoughts I never could deny, and she said, I love you, will you hold me, will you watch me jump the fire as summer turns to night? And I called to her through the sky and the whispers of flight, I will meet you by rivers green, and I will meet you by a shining sea. I will meet you as the waves march on. I will wait for you on the shores of Ireland. Time offers we choose them, and the wildest fire can die beneath the rain. I know you in silence, and at the journey's end we'll blow the fire flame, and the masks that you wear through the years, they will burn as they fly. I will meet you by the river's green, and I will meet you by a shining sea. I will meet you as the waves march on. I will wait for you on the shores of Ireland. The changeling turns now, and she sets her silver sails until time and times again are done. I will meet you by the river's green, and I will meet you by a shining sea. I will meet you as the waves march on. I will wait for you through the years, and I will wait for you, my love. I will wait for you on the shores of Ireland. I will meet you by the river's green, and I will meet you by a shining sea. Oh, I will meet you as the waves march on. I will wait for you through the years, and I will wait for you, my love. I will wait for you on the shores of Ireland. Thank you very much.
That's all we have time for this evening. To download any of Kray's music, please go to krayvankirk.com. This and other 360 North programs are available online at 360north.org. Thank you, Kray.
Thank you for having me. It's very nice to
Oh my
come
gosh.
down. Nice space. It's wonderful.
Oh, yeah, I'm ready to go to Ireland. I don't know about you guys. Thank you, audience, and thank you, viewers, for participating in Arts at 360's Alaska Originals. Good night.